let's just go over these numbers real quick as soon as I find them. All right. All right, what do we get for a total rental income? Correct. Again, you have the vacancies, the concessions. 1,428,198. Then we add the other income, which is, it can be from various things. That can be from late rents to laundry income to, again, when you see a full 12-month trailing, there's a list about that long of, other income stuff that they get. And so you add that up there and you get an effective gross income of, who's got a number? All right, 1,456,668. You went down through the expenses, and a total expenses should come out to 1,014,819. Is that right? Good. The total expenses, 1,014,000. So 1,014,819. Gives us a net operating income, 441,849. Correct? 441,849 net operating income. Agreed? All right. Take off the primary debt service from there, and it gives you a cash flow before taxes of 170,721. Agreed? Great. All right. So for our cash on cash, using those numbers I came up with, again, I didn't put this in the analyzer, I just did it on a calculator like you guys did. A cash on cash return of 9%. Yep. Cap rate of 7.2. Yes. Price per unit of 24,302. I will quickly talk here about occupancy and economic occupancy, and the reason I didn't have you do it on this one is because there was only a 80.5 was the occupancy. Economic occupancy is 80.6, and a lot of times you're going to get deals where there is a huge difference, where the banks or the servicer will just put people in there regardless because they know it's going to go for sale, and you have a lot of people not paying. They give away everything, so there's concessions in there, and you can easily have 80% occupancy, and that's what they're going to tell you. Oh, it's 80% occupied. But when you do the economic occupancy, which is what you're basically doing for the economic occupancy, is you're taking what the 100%, if we're 100% occupied, the amount of rent you could get, and you're dividing the number that you're actually collecting, the amount of rents you're actually collecting. So what that's taking into consideration concessions, vacancies, people who aren't paying, all that stuff. The amount of money you've actually collected, you divide that by what 100% occupancy would be, and that's your economic occupancy. And that will come out a lot of times well below that. So you can have something that's 85% occupied. I've seen it a number of times, and the economic occupancy is in the low 70s. So you got 71% economic, and the economic occupancy is the important one because that's what you're getting paid. Is that clear, the difference between economic and regular occupancy? Okay. And again, it didn't work out good on this example, so we're not going to do it. All right, we got a couple minutes here. So what I'd like you to do is those numbers again, but this time you're going to have to use the industry averages. Does anybody have that page handy? On page 41. And come up with the numbers. And what is going to be what is good about this one is this is an example where you're gonna have their numbers that they gave you, and you're gonna use those for buying it. But the numbers that you bring to your investors and that you're actually gonna run this thing for are substantially different, and it makes this a good deal. So do that, and we'll come back and go over it, and it'll take us to the end of our first day. Work together again and come up with a concession on, how about, let's say this city is pretty close to the middle of any range you come within the industry averages, so you don't have to tell me whether you're in Mississippi or North Carolina. Go ahead. Okay, repairs and maintenance and contract services. On this particular deal, again, this is not all that abnormal. Contract services, in the numbers they gave you on the 12-month trailing, was included in repairs and maintenance. So you have no number for contract services. But just because there's no number there doesn't mean there shouldn't be a number there. But the real tricky part about that is you still have to add contract services and repairs and maintenance so that you're in the averages. You still have to have numbers in there so that while the repairs and maintenance now may be an industry average, it may be in the ballpark, in the range, you have to remember it's also including contract services, so you have to subtract that from the number they gave you. So their number of $100,400 for repairs and maintenance, you have to subtract what contract services would be in that. And now that number is no longer in the industry averages. All right, see what you can do. Again, work with each other. Yes? No. Right. That's what you just use in the middle. But like I said before, if you're going into like Mississippi, you'd be using the 300 or close to 300. If you're going into a big metropolitan area that's booming, you're going to be using closer to the 600. But for this one, I'll tell you what I used. I used 450. Right. That's just for this example because we don't know where we're at physically. Yes? No, but what I'm saying is they are she asked me if you add the contract services to repair and maintenance, you have to add it to it. But that's correct. But they didn't do that. They have included it. So what we have to do is we have to take it out. And then what does that do to your repairs and maintenance? It brings a number below the average. So you have to take that into consideration. If they're putting those numbers in there, they're trying to hide it from the other place that you need to put it. All right, let's go over some of these numbers and see how we did. Again, the purpose of this one was to use or kind of define what an actual number is. An actual number is what you can run this for. And sometimes the numbers that you're going to get are not actual, and it can be not actual in a good way if you got a special servicer who have expenses that are too high, and it can be in a bad way if you have somebody trying to sell to you scrubbing the books. So you have to be aware of that to protect yourself and also to find the gold nuggets which are out there. So let's quickly go over the numbers that we came up with. So for taxes, 96,476 because you're going to use actual numbers on that one. There's no rule of thumb. There's no industry average. You have to use it. You have to call up. I actually just had a personal deal where I called up on the tax numbers, and the broker had put in a number based on what he thought was true, which was, I don't know the exact details, but he was putting in based on the sales price, because in that county they took the sales price anytime there was a sale, and they gave you a a new number, but there was a grandfather clause that if it was selling for less than it sold for the prior to, they could only raise it by 2%. And by calling the assessor, I found this out. The broker didn't know it. It was a difference of, I think, $11,000. So it was substantial. So make the phone call. Insurance, again, just call somebody up or use what they have. Sometimes when you switch insurance agencies, it does go up. So just they'll be happy to give you an estimate on what it's going to cost you and use that number. Repairs and maintenance. Now this is the confusing one, and this is where they hide stuff. But on this example, they had $100,400. I gotta find that page. Who's? You guys have it. There it is. Yeah, but I got it. My pages aren't in order here. So for repairs and maintenance, $300 to $600 a door. Okay, so that $100,400, that comes out to $400 a door. That's right in the averages, right? But if you look down and you look at contract services, that's included in your repairs and maintenance. So is that repair and maintenance of $400 a door really a good number? It's not, because you have to subtract what the contract services would be. So once you subtracted that number, it came below your industry averages. So we're going to use an industry average for the repairs and maintenance and just throw that number out. So I use 450 for an industry average or a rule of thumb for repairs and maintenance. Came up with $112,950. Again, yours can be a little bit different. We're just trying to show you $250 a door, $62,750. And Mel brought up a point which it would be more realistic to do two separate ones, one where they're scrubbing the books and one where they're jamming at home. But I was trying to do both of them together on this one, but usually you find it one way or the other. Management fee, 4%. That number was good. That's a good number. Marketing. Is that a good number? Right. I used $100 a door, $25,100. I just analyzed the deal for Sue and Ed. They were looking at, and I don't have it in front of me, but it came out to, it was a 12-month trailing, and from month 12, 11, 10, 9, it was almost $1,000 a month for marketing. And then it dropped off, and then current and last month's, they were down to $50 a month. And what that was caused by was they were leasing it up. They're saying, we're going to get this thing ready for sale. So they advertise and they put people in it, and they get that occupancy level up there. And they're, it was pretty easy to see once you look back there what's going on here. But you could see the rents went up and the occupancy went up, and the numbers were way out of whack for marketing. Utility, is that in the rule of thumb? And the answer is no. You can't have a rule of thumb for utility because every single apartment building is different. I mean, common areas, some are bigger, you're paying for more. Some you have to include heat or gas or what have you. It doesn't mean you can't make money there. Again, Sue and Ed have a property that they bought, and they found a leak in the water system. It made a $17,000 a month difference. You add $17,000 times 12, and remember her rule of thumb, for every dollar that you increase income or decrease expenses, that adds $10 to the price of that, or what it's worth. So you do the math. I don't have it in front of me, but $17,000 times 12 times 10. Anybody do it? They increased the price of that property by $2 million, over $2 million, just by fixing that leak. Contract services. Again, we said it was included in the repairs and maintenance, but you still need a number there. So again, I use a rule of thumb here of $300 times 251. Came up with $75,300. Payroll, they were jamming it home. 900 times 251 comes to 225.9. Brought our total expenses, this is what we believe we can run this thing for, $933,794. The the utility, she's asking me about the utility. Utility, there is no rule of thumb, so we're going to use what they have, 207,516. Contract services, I used right down the middle of the rule of thumb, which was $300 times 251, $75,300. Payroll, way high. 225,900 is what we can run it for. Gives a total expenses $933,794. I used payroll. I used a rule of thumb because it was too high. Again, they say use actual numbers, and what you don't want to do is use that 307. Now, let me fix there. Just be clear on this. You use that number when you're talking to the bank or the seller. Absolutely. You're going to want to use that 376,000. Say, I can't run it for any better than that, and that's what you base your offer on. But what you're going to show your investors and what is important to you is the number that you can run it at. Okay. So if it's not to your advantage, or if the price is too high, that's what you're going to use to show the bank. I can't fix that. If that's what it costs you to run it, that's what it costs you to run it. Well, how can I do any better than that? So I hope I'm clear on that. Go ahead. You got a question? I use $250 a door. Because the $375 was outside the limit, wasn't it? I came up with $375 a door. What do I? No, wait a second. Yeah, it's between $100 and $250 a door. So their number was too high at $375 a door. I brought it down to the high end, $250. I should have used more in the middle, but that's just the number I used. You understand? Why does it mess everything up? Again, your numbers are going to be different. We're just going to show you. You're right, but it won't make that huge a difference. Yep. I'm pretty sure it's gross scheduled. That's, again, something I just throw into the analyzer and it comes up with a number for me. I'm pretty sure it's gross scheduled. I'm not 100% sure on that. That's an analyzer question. All right. What I came up with, again, because you're absolutely right, my number should have been a little bit lower. But net operating income of $522,874. Cash flow before taxes is up to $251,746. And what this did to our cash on cash is now brings us a little over 13% cash on cash, which is when you can start to get investors interested in this deal, and a cap rate of 8.5. So I just did that to show you, again, that when you're talking actual numbers, you have to interpolate. What's an actual number that I can run this for? Go ahead. Yes, 1456668 is what I came up with. It's supposed to be actually gross. Where is Sue there? Hey, Sue, are you on the phone? No. Management fee is based on gross scheduled or effective, right? Collected, right. So give them an incentive. Right. All right, I hope I didn't confuse you guys too much on that. Go ahead. Yep. She's asking about the vacancy rate and that if we're going to put more money into the marketing, can we reduce the vacancy rate? Actually, I did the vacancy rate. Did anybody do the vacancy rate on this one? What did it come to? It's 80%. 80%. What you're going to use that number for is you've got these numbers based on 80%. You're going to go to your investors. And so we're getting these numbers at 80%. We are going to increase the vacancy, and what you do is you get the market vacancy, and that's going to be the number you're going to use. And you're going to increase the occupancy, but like I said before, increasing occupancy and increasing rents is not an overnight change. It takes time. So it's something you're going to definitely show your investors as what our projections are for next year. We're going to increase the vacancy, but for planning purposes on this, you're going to use your right now numbers. I'm all done, Sue. Sue. all done. Hang on. Just a couple common mistakes that I see, because I do a lot of student deals too. Not realistic with the purchase price. So this one is $6.1 million. People will come in with something that's not realistic. Let's say this deal works and they have $4.5 million purchase price. I say, is that something that they've agreed to? I mean, have you talked to the brokers that something is likely? And it's usually not. Again, you're going to find your first deal. You can't make it happen. You have to be realistic with these numbers is all I'm saying. So use the real numbers and be patient, and it will happen. Okay, the revised cash rate and cap that I got was the new numbers was cash on cash 13%, a little over, and cap rate 8.5. But again, this is at 80% occupancy, so you're going to bring that up. All right, that's all I had, Sue. Thanks.
Thank you. Isn't Tim awesome? Now, Tim, most of the time, if you do submit a deal to us, it goes through Tim first. So he really knows the deals. He looks at lots of deals, and he really understands how to cash flow analyze them, what the upside potentials are. Many times, if you do send in that deal, it does go to him first. So that's Tim. That's the famous Tim Oakes. Tim used to be a international airline pilot for like 25 years, right? That's right. For U.S. Air. See what kind of talent I got working for me? Don't miss it. He's retired and don't miss it. And I don't miss it either because I love the fact that he's working with me. So very, very lucky